Hello, and solstice blessings to you whether you're watching this on solstice, near the winter solstice, or way later in this winter season. Welcome to winter. Welcome to this season of slowing, of sensing, of being in that deep earth time, becoming friends with the darkness, the unknown, and weaving our way through. Today I pulled some cards for us on my sunset solstice walk, or mini hike, and it was too windy up there to do a full video, so I'm trying this new method, which might be fun, of talking as I walk and just recording little videos as I go, so there can be some visual anchors for those of you who are like me and need that. So I asked for some guidance, calling in wise and well ancestors, landcestors, and energies of the times. And I first asked, what is our most important ally during these times, during this winter season specifically? And I got the Six of Pentacles, guidance of stability. And this fits with the current season of Capricorn that we are just entering, but also all of winter, at least in the cosmology I follow, and in many traditions. The season of winter is associated with the north and earth. And so it's the season of the deep underground where there might not be leaves on the trees. Well, there are pine needles on the evergreens still, but everything is focused on this underground state of the energy in the roots, preserving, storing, protecting. And with the guidance of stability, we're still invited into interacting with others around us, this sense of exchange and community that sometimes feels far away in these seasons where we might be home more, or hermiting, or just feeling a little more alone. We're invited to remember all the forms of exchange that are guiding us through each moment between our lungs and the air, the atmosphere, our feet and the ground beneath us. Even if we're not walking barefoot on the earth right now, we're still connecting to that sense of foundation and support beneath us. And the earth is always beneath that. Like, no matter how many layers, the earth is underneath. And we can consider everything from our bodies to our skin to our feet, and even the cushion we're sitting on, whether it's made of artificial material or not, as extensions of the earth, as examples and allies in this time. And so we're really invited to remember all this, to let ourselves be supported and guided and grounded by all of this. Basically not doing it alone, not feeling like we can't reach out, or it might just also be a matter of remembering what might be tucked away on a bookshelf or in a closet, both literally and metaphorically, you know? So we have so many inherent and inherited and gained resources, even if at times there is real and perceived or imposed scarcity. That's valid. And yet at the same time, can we remember what resources we do have? Can we lean into the potential of exchange, of relationality, even in this season that can sometimes feel lonely and isolating? And something that's coming up is remembering that while our screens and the internet and social media are such a gift in terms of connecting and staying connected across time and space with people, it's also just one way, and because of the current state of things, with algorithms, with AI, with everything, that sort of distorts our sense of reality here and adds a lot of pressure and stress on top of just trying to connect to others. We're encouraged to step outside of that zone and find ways of connecting in person, or even just like over a phone call or direct texting instead of like Instagram messages or something, like something that feels more honed in, focused, safe, secure, and grounding, less distracting. So you can also explore this, of course, with other forms of life like plants and animals. And I feel like I've personally been called to feeling the pull to get outside and visit the forests and the water bodies I love going to, or your local park or whatever, like even in the season where it's like cold and doesn't feel warm enough to do anything, but bundle up, go for like 5 minutes even, and remember that these places are still here, even if you can't just stay there in the sun for a while. And I also asked for some support here on how we can remember all this, aside from what's already been said. Another layer of, remembering that we have this allyship, this whole realm of resources. And I pulled the 10 of Cups, the realization of fluidity. And to me, this is about many things, but especially letting our emotions be guidance in this time, and letting ourselves explore and not need a rigid structure, or to basically not be hard on ourselves, because whatever's happening, we are meant to, it's an experience, and so it's all temporary and fleeting. And the 10 of Cups I associate with Saturn and Pisces. And we are in Capricorn season now, which is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is currently in Pisces in its final degree it's in its final few degrees right now. So between now and February, so most of winter, Saturn's still in its final degrees of Pisces. And it's back here for its final time since it retrograded earlier in the year. And this is the last time Saturn will be in Pisces for, I think like 24 years. The last time. Did I say first time? Last time. And it's a great time to reflect on what these past 2 years or so, I think it's a little more than that, like 2.5 years, have been like for you. And especially in the realm of the structures in your life, what gives you support and security and stability, but even the imposed, like the ones you choose and the ones you're a part of, and the ones imposed on you that you're trying to shed or reform or unlearn. And in Pisces, in this final sign of the zodiac, it's very liminal at times, and it's kind of opposite Saturn. It's very Neptunian in its energy, very watery and deep. And Neptune's right there too in its actual final degree. So we have this invitation to dive into the depths, to explore and let ourselves reflect, and especially on our dreams and our subconscious realm. And for me, at least, what's been coming up is just like themes from the past decade plus of my life that I'm growing out of, or felt like I've moved on from, but are still resurfacing. And if you are someone who looks at your own chart, I would look at what house Saturn is in. Oh no, you can look at that, but I would look at what house Pisces rules in your chart. So if you're an Aries rising, it's going to be the 12th house. If you do whole sign houses like me, But basically, that area of life is where you'll probably have been feeling this most for the past 2 years. So I won't go into every example, but for me, for example, Pisces rules my fourth house, which is the home, ancestry, our roots. It's the roots and the anchor, the base of the chart. And my Saturn is also there, so I'm finishing my Saturn return. So anyone born between, I believe, well, it really ranges, like some point in 94 or 93 maybe, and 95. Anyways, if you're in your Saturn return too, this is extra potent. So I feel like it's such an obscure area, and I almost don't have much to say here because it's really more about feeling. It's really more about letting yourself explore those feelings and all the subconscious layers and connections and intersections that are connected to that. And so it can feel like overwhelming work, but the tens, being Saturn, being this sort of end or completion of a cycle, which doesn't mean it's like the end of all the work, but it's like a closing of a chapter perhaps, and this time of realizing and reflecting before continuing and bringing that into what's next when Saturn crosses over the threshold of the rebirth, threshold of life and death at the 0 point of Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, in February with Neptune. So I'll probably share more on that later. I'm sure you've heard other astrologers talking about it, but it's coming up in the cards here. So giving ourselves room to emotionally process, to also give ourselves credit for all that we've not just done, but experienced. And even if whatever our feelings are about that, even if we feel like we haven't done everything we wanted or handled things the way we wished, even if there's disappointment or doubt or shame and all that, I want us to still give ourselves credit for how far we've come, the progress we have made, and not let it be like all or nothing where, you know, you're human, we're in hard times. And so can you still notice and reflect on and realize what has come to fruition here, what has rooted and blossomed even in all of this hardship. So more could be said, but I wanted to keep this somewhat short, and it's already getting long. The final two cards I pulled are a message from the sun and a message from the earth. So from the sun, we have the 10, the 10 of swords, the realization of awareness. So another 10. And this invitation from the sun, this message from the sun, is about zooming out, about widening our perspective and our awareness beyond our current sphere in society. And that doesn't mean forgetting the nuances and forgetting what's here, but it just means remembering that there's so much more than what's happening in our echo chambers and our algorithms on the news. There's so much that's unseen and unsaid that we can only experience if we slow down and listen, go within, connect and communicate in other ways. So there's a lot of subtlety here in this season where the sun has the least time in the sky, at least if you're in the northern hemisphere. Of course, this whole video is from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, but the sun is also returning and inviting us to not lose sight of the bigger picture. And our message from the earth, the land, is germinate, is the magician. This mercurial reminder to let ourselves be in between. So germination normally happens more in the spring, and I think technically it's not until yes, not until the plant starts emerging from the seed, begins to sense that the right conditions are ready to, the soil's warm enough, the sun is being felt through those layers, and yet we're entering winter. So how does this relate? Well, it's an inner form of germination right now, while the whole world feels dead, but it's not. It's all just underground. So while other things are sleeping underground, rooting, so are we. And yet we as humans have this whole consciousness that gets to still explore and germinate and go between and sort of prepare. I still see this as a preparation, almost like a preparation for the actual germination that comes with spring. It speaks to also how, we do have a threshold of newness in, at the end of the calendar year, always shortly after solstice and the holidays. It's like, it's a season of germination for many, a renewal where people start, winding down from all the busyness of the season and emerging through intentions and whatnot. And so whether you participate in that or not, it's a reminder that you get to do it at your own pace, or not at all, or later, or you get to just use this time to incubate, to go within, to reflect, and know that you still have autonomy, to really embrace that autonomy this season with having boundaries and letting yourself be in this underground state while still remembering there's more here. And letting your resources be remembered. That's always a theme. So what does that mean to you? Is there things to reflect on? And all together, what do these cards, these reflections, remind you of, help you think of connecting to? Where does it land? And can you just let them be open-ended too? Letting it integrate and settle where it will. There's a sense of renewal here, despite all the destruction that's happening in the world, despite the fear that's being spread and the reality of it, and also the distortions of it, despite the collapse of justice that was never fully even here in the United States. But we're rebuilding it. And so in this season of underground incubation, what parts of your role can you strengthen? Can you take some of that guilt and fear and hesitation and sit with it? You don't have to cast it out. Sit with it as a friend and say, what do you need from me? What do you want from me? And listen. And the voices that, or the parts of you that only reject, don't need to be followed, but can be listened to. Because these are our traumas speaking to us. These are reflections of the world we're in, our personal experiences, our inherited generational trauma, and so on. And so I think Saturn in Pisces is bringing a lot of this up, especially, and there's other transits and aspects that I won't go into right now, but ultimately I say that it all starts at your root and your center, not as an isolating aspect, not as an isolating statement, but as a hope that it can remind you of your autonomy, that it's about choice and perspective as much as it is. There are real limitations, there are real obstacles, and you're not doing this alone. But what autonomy can you take back and initiate, even if that looks like just resting and giving yourself like some offline time and space to figure that out, or not even figure it out, to sense into it. This is a season of physicality, of sensing, and letting yourself explore that. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. I hope that some part of this feels supportive for you, and please leave behind anything that didn't resonate, that doesn't feel like it's for you. And I wish you a lovely winter. May its wisdom reach you and weave into your node in this wild web. And if you'd like to go deeper in any of this, you're invited to check out the Embodied Tarot Library, where I have recorded a guided meditation, journey, or practice to embody each and every card of the major and minor arcana in the tarot. It's connected to my deck, the Embodied Ecosystems Tarot and Oracle, yet it can be used with any deck, or even without a deck. You can think of it as a library of over 80 practices to help embody your place, your belonging. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and then all of those practices are available at your hands from any computer, tablet, or phone through the website or an app. That's nice, easy access at any time. I do also offer one-on-one embodied tarot readings with or without astrological chart considerations. And so you can check that out too. Both links are in the description below. No matter what, I truly wish you well, and am grateful to be connected in this way on our journeys through embodied liberation and collective awareness. May this support you well, and may your winter be full of wisdom, rest, and whatever else you want. Take care.